What's going on, guys? I don't really feel like having the camera on me today, but I do feel like talking to you guys. This is going to be a very important conversation for those watching. And I'm going to let this populate, and I'm going to give you my 2 cents. So if you can hear me and see me, press the number 69, and we'll get into the conversation. We got Bags and Rags watching. Gavin Porthouse. That name sounds familiar. How you doing, Gavin? You sound familiar, but I'm not sure exactly who you are. Thank you very much. This conversation and topic today is going to be about a variety of things. For those that watch me here on Facebook, you might have watched what I put out last night, which was my thoughts on the different decades of my life, which was nice to go back and reflect all the way back. I gave you what I thought about the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and then obviously the 2020s. So I got a lot more to say and talk about. Today is going to be an interesting conversation because I'm going to tell you guys why I'm here. I'm going to tell you guys this interesting conversation, an interesting individual I met today. And I'm going to tell you guys more about really what I think about the 2020s. Because I've already pretty much covered and basically my overall thoughts about the 80s and 90s and 2000s, 2010s, and I don't really want to get into that more. I kind of touched on it. Today I'm going to focus on the 2020s. And we're going to talk about why I'm here, why I'm still here. And also, we're going to talk a little bit about my life. We're going to talk about what I think about the 2020s. We're going to talk about this interesting individual that I met today. We're going to talk a little bit about my future. And I'm also going to address some things that the trolls are reiterating and saying about me and my van and my lifestyle when my streams are being re-uploaded to YouTube. So if you guys can hear me and see me, give me a 69 and loud and clear. First and foremost, you might ask, why am I still here online on social media? Well, my incarnation on social media as a social media creator, if anybody knows anything about me, started off in 2014, where I did a lot of crazy things. And basically, I officially became monetized in January of 2020. Sorry, of 2015. I was an official monetized 1099 partner with YouTube. And that lasted pretty much until about August of 2020. So we're talking a little over 5 years, right? Somewhere around there. My run on YouTube was successful. I made thousands of dollars. I had millions of views. I had thousands of videos. And I accomplished a lot within those years as far as the form of food reviews, travel, motorhome reviews, maintenance on the Lisa Marie. A lot of people I met. It was an interesting time. Mostly good times. There were some bad times, but mostly good times. That was a phase that was basically the phase of my life in the 2010s. 2010s, the van life started getting bigger and bigger and bigger and started growing slowly but surely on YouTube. So that was that. Pretty much, guys. Everybody knows, whoever watched Van Life. It goes back. There wasn't many people that were doing it on YouTube. As far as content creators, there was, I believe, Camper Van David, which is a guy people barely know. There was Kyle Pounds. There was Bug Out Vehicles. There was Living the Van Life with Chad. There wasn't many, and all those channels that were back then, AC Clarino, a lot of them are pretty much gone, or if they're there, they're insignificant or irrelevant. And as far as I know, the only ones that were on since then, I don't even remember if Elvis Travels was on back then, back in 2010. But Living the Van Life, Chad, Kyle Pounds, AC Clarino, most of those guys are really not, I think Kyle Pounds is on YouTube, but nobody really watches him anymore because he's not really even doing van life anymore. So a lot of those guys just basically moved on and didn't really grow their channels, and they just moved on. As far as being YouTube creators. They moved on. So, guys, continuing on what I'm saying, looks like somebody's alarm is going off. So anyways, I know you guys can still hear me, but this alarm is annoying. But anyways, guys, continuing on what I'm saying. A lot of the guys that started off doing van life on YouTube are not in their van anymore. And they're not even content creators anymore. They went through that phase. So it is what it is. People have to move on in life. I think for me, that was my phase, 2015 to 2020. It was ushering out the 2010s and bringing in the 2020s. Which 2020 was a bad year for everybody. It was, I believe that's the year Kobe Bryant died. That's the year of this whole pandemic. Everything just started going downhill. Inflation. Well, things were cheap as far as gas because of the lockdown, and then And it came back up. I'm not an expert in economics. I don't know the way it works. But I guess things are expensive now because of all the stimulus checks they sent out. Maybe that's the reason. Taxes are rising. Gas is rising because no more Keystone Pipeline. Not enough drilling and refining in the United States or Alaska. Not enough refineries. Keystone Pipeline, Ukraine. Supply and demand, and the pandemic. So, again, there's many, many other factors, but we're just talking about the basics. Inflation in the United States of America, the decade of the 20s. The 1920s, I believe, was the 20s and was a bad decade in the United States from what I believe in. I believe the Depression started in 1929 or 33, somewhere around there, 100 years ago. It is what it is. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not here to be a doomsday prophet, but it is what it is. We got to deal with it. We got to deal with it. So you might ask, why I'm here. Well, I lived out my decade of the 2010s. What did I do in the 2010s? Hell. I had a Toyota convertible. My hobby was being an Elvis tribute artist. Became a big star on YouTube. Made good money here and there. Bought 2 camper vans. 2010s were ups and downs. 2016, lost my father and uncle. Eventually, I believe later on in that 2016, family property was sold. My dad's mobile home was sold. Lost family property, lost my home. Oh, the year with the Wanderlust estate. I believe that video, well, you could go back and look. It's on his channel. That was back in, I don't know, it had to be 2014 or 2015. Still on his channel. The birdseed aisle at Walmart. And I asked him why it was done there, and it was because I guess there was no copyright music playing there, and he got a folding chair. Had a use in Walmart. Did a interview on a folding chair on a GoPro or something. And a birdseed aisle at Walmart, at all places. Yeah. Well, in 2014, a year for me, I bursted out and shook things up, and I wasn't monetized. To me, it was just all fun and games. And 2014 was a crazy fun year. But then, when I saw the whole picture of things, 2015, it was all about business. And my style and mind and ways changed profusely. If anybody's ever followed me, watched over the years, The bottom line is, ushering out the 2010s was ups and downs, good times and bad times. A lot of places traveled, a lot of things seen, a lot of motorhomes reviewed, a lot of products reviewed, a lot of RVers reviewed, a lot of food reviews, a lot of meeting of a lot of different people. The 2010s were ups and downs. I'd say there was more good times than bad times, but there were also a lot of bad times. And like I said, 2020 was the beginning of a new decade, a new time, the beginning of calamities, the beginning of inflation and deflation, the beginning of wars and rumors of wars, beginning of a pandemic of epic worldwide proportions, the beginning of a lot of death and suffering, a very scary time in the world. The death of Kobe Bryant, I believe, happened in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong, but I think it was 2020. Maybe it was 2019. If anybody can remember, look it up for me, but maybe it was 2020. I got to go back and look, because I'm always bringing that up and thinking about it. I'm always thinking it was 2020. I was never really a big Kobe Bryant fan, but I know that he was the guy who emulated Michael Jordan, obviously, and he was a big deal in basketball, one of the greatest basketball players ever, and really sad. And I remember, like I said, I never really was a fan, but he was a guy that was the only guy that I would ever... I'm a big fan of basketball. The only guy who had a superhero persona and image as that of Michael Jordan. The only other person that was Jordan-esque was Vince Carter, but he really never won anything. He wasn't on the same caliber of a Kobe Bryant as far as being a winner and having that kind of stuff. So all in all, folks, I'm just going to say the bottom line is we got into 2020s, and it was a whole new thing in the world in the beginning of 2010. Because I remember 2010 was a year for suffering with the economy. And we were in the recession. And it was bad. A lot of people lost their jobs. We were tired and hurt with the Iraq War. A lot of death and destruction. And the country was not in good shape. And, you know, that is what it is. As we usher in 2020 and the decade of 2020, 2 years into it here, almost 3 years, start to realize the writing's on the wall for a lot of us with the way the world is now, the norms. A world of calamity, inflation, greed, hate, political divide greater than ever. The dying off of the old generations and the blossoming and upcoming of the new generations and the ones that are in between like me. We're stuck in limbo. The old generation that's dying off or dead very wise, very successful, very happy in their lives in retirement. My generation, the ones that pretty much got a little bit of taste of the old and a little bit of taste of the new, we're like right in the middle. We're moderates. We're not ultra conservative like the old generation, but we're not ultra liberal like the new generation. We're stuck right in the middle of moderate on things. And the new generation, the technology age, the age of Tesla, the age of technology, the age of texting and emails and online shopping, online economy. The new breed, the new blood, the new way is here. So you might ask, why am I here today? Why am I here even now? All I see right now in 2022, and really since the end of my YouTube channel in 2020, all I pretty much see in my life and future as social media is concerned, I don't even look at it as social networking anymore or making new friends. I cherish all the people that know me and love me throughout the years. And those who hate me, I pray for you in Jesus' name. Pray for your salvation. But I'm here, nothing more, nothing less, in this decade of 2020 as a simple diary to chronicle my thoughts, whether it be on life, current events, or anything in general. I've never been a guy who really likes to read a lot, even though I've read the whole Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But as we move on to the technology age, I enjoy more than reading like I did in the 80s and 90s. I enjoy more of the podcasts, videos, YouTube, hands-on, and real-life social interaction. Because we're going from the age, ladies and gentlemen, where we used to learn and read out of books, Barnes & Noble library, and we're going into the age right now of technology, podcasts, radio broadcasts, which were always there, ebooks, in-person learning is something of the past, but that was a good thing. Online education is not the way to go. Hands-on education is the best way to go. There's nothing better than learning a trade in person. How are you going to learn to be a mechanic online? Or a plumber? Or an electrician? Or a construction person? In reality, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just here, nothing more, nothing less at this point, whether it's right here or my personal Facebook. I'm here just to give a diary of my thoughts and a diary of my life, nothing more, nothing less. This isn't a business for me. I'm not looking to make new friends. I'm just here to have a platform to say my thoughts. You can call this a podcast, you can call it a radio show, you can call it a verbal diary, you can call it my thoughts, whatever you want to call it. But the reality is the reality. Now, I just want to say, ladies and gentlemen, that there are some things that I want to talk about today. I want to talk to you about this individual I met today. Very interesting. And this individual that I met today, I was urban camping in an undisclosed location. And I saw a black Mercedes Sprinter van, Airstream, interstate, very nice coach, dual wheels, 24 feet long, diesel pusher. I saw it parked urban camping, and I saw the back doors were wide open with the zip down screen there, buck screen. And this person was there for a long time, just hanging out. And I had a feeling, just an intuition, that it was most likely a single male. Just my spiritual intuition. I walked by, and then about an hour later, I came back. And I thought to myself, what the hell, let me see who's in this coach, and let me talk to them, let's see if they're friendly. I went into the place of business, and I purchased one of the drinks that I like. It's a Starbucks zero sugar vanilla energy drink. And I said, hello, is anybody here? The side door was open. And an older Caucasian man walked out and said, hello. I said, hello, sir, how you doing? I said, would you like a nice coffee? He said, yeah, sure, I'll take one. We started talking. I said, I'm a fellow nomad. I've been living in my camper van 7 years, and I thought I'd just come in here and I give you iced coffee. How you doing, Tim? And the individual, the gentleman, said he accepted my iced coffee. We started talking. It was kind of hot and the sun was out. He said, why don't you come in the coach here and get out of that sun? I said, okay. How you doing, Tim? So I walked into this beautiful 2016 jet black on the outside Airstream Interstate Mercedes Sprinter camper van. It was a beautiful Airstream coach. It had two captain's chairs up front. Walking into the coach, it had the usual Airstream layout. You walk in on the passenger side, there's beautiful open galley kitchen with, I believe, like a marble or stone-like countertop. Looking into the coach, it had a big, beautiful on the passenger side. It had right behind the driver's seat, there was a fold-out table to put a laptop, and also on that wall up there right behind the driver's seat, there was a television on a mount. And above the captain's chairs, there was a little storage area that Airstream usually makes up there. And looking more inside the coach, I'm doing okay, Tim. I see you. You just come here, go when I'm starting a story. So, looking inside the coach, I looked at right behind the driver's seat, there was a walk-in closet, and right going towards the rear there was a beautiful two-door refrigerator, and then your Airstream bathroom with a porthole window. Going more towards in the back of the coach on the driver's side, there's a little closet there with shelves, and a lot of cabinetry up above, beautiful cabinetry. All array around. brushed aluminum accents. And in the back of the coach, there was a twin bench setup. On the driver's side of the coach in the back, the twin bench was there from the factory, and on the passenger side, the gentleman had did some modifications. And what he did to the passenger side of the coach on the back, instead of having a twin bench there, he made a custom dining room booth, single seat, and then the rest of that bench on the passenger side was converted into a cabinet for storage. Underneath there would be an outdoor storage from the back for a bicycle and other things of that nature that he custom built. I talked to this individual for a couple hours. It was very interesting. As you guys know, I'm a very inquisitive person, and I wanted to know a little bit of his life story. I told him a little bit about my life story. He had a beautiful coach, dual wheels, diesel engine, 13,000 original miles when he bought it, and he got it for a steal for $100,000, because I believe those coaches were probably $160,000 or more brand new. And now, looking at a coach like that, you're talking about $200,000 to $220,000, I believe, somewhere around that. I haven't kept up with vans, but I know they're sky high right now. And it was very interesting to talk to this gentleman. Put it in a nutshell, folks. Very interesting gentleman that I talked to. He's of German descent, originally from St. Louis, Missouri. Had a little bit of a Yankee accent, not that much. More generic and plain. He was in pretty good shape for being 83 years old, besides having knee replacements and kind of hard to get around, but he was in good spirits. He told me, and I asked him, and I wanted to know a little bit more about his life and his story. Give me a 69 if you guys can hear me. The man is 83 years old, German descent, St. Louis, Missouri. Went to school in Kansas, state of Kansas, I believe. Then he went on to Notre Dame College, Shipyard University. He got his degrees. He said he had a couple degrees, but he had his degree in electrical engineering. And he moved to Atlanta, Georgia, and worked as an electrical engineer at AT&T for years. And then he went on to work for Texas Instruments. Thank you, Tim. So he had a degree in electrical engineering, and he could go in different directions in his career path. He could have been a tedious electrical engineer where they did the design aspect of electrical engineering. He didn't really want to do that. Then he became a project manager in the field of electric engineering, and then he decided he was a better fit or enjoyed more being a salesman in the electrical engineering field. He was a traveling electrical engineer salesman who traveled this country from state to state, city to city. He also had many DoD secret clearances with the government, and according to him, his thermostat that he designed for one of the space shuttle missions, he claimed that when he designed that, they put him in one of the space shuttles that blew up, and it wasn't his fault, that the person who installed it or put it in or did something wrong where it made the space shuttle blow up. And it wasn't his fault. It was the person who put it up or hooked it up or whatever. But that's how high this guy got in his field. There's probably more to him, but maybe he worked on classified stuff, I don't know. But all in all, it seemed like he was a man who enjoyed what he did and enjoyed his life and lived a blessed life. He had a wife of 24 years. He ended up getting divorced. She ended up taking his house. He had 3 children, which are all living. One of his kids is a guy who's a computer software engineer, programmer. The other son is also successful. Is a manager, foreman, construction business, more of a hands-on guy. And he has a daughter who's in the medical field, which I really didn't talk much about, but just touched on her. He ended up getting divorced, finding a woman that was 7 years younger than him and falling in love with her and stayed with her for a long time until she died of cancer, lung cancer. I believe she was a smoker. And then his ex-wife also died. Put it in a nutshell, he lived a pretty good life besides, I guess, just not marrying the right woman and having kids with the right woman to be his life partner. He ended up finding love with another woman that wasn't the woman of his children. He said he had fun in his life, in his prime, being a traveling electrical engineer in the industry. He had girlfriends in every city that he would wine and dine, and he had a great time in life, making good money, a lot of beautiful women, and doing what he knew and liked and loved, and just lived overall a pretty good life. He told me at the age of about 67 he'd retired. He went into retirement life. 67 years old. He eventually told me something that I was really surprised. He had moved from, I believe, the Atlanta, Georgia area, I believe down into Orlando, and eventually moved to St. Petersburg, Florida. And he eventually transitioned into moving and living in, believe it or not, a sailboat. A very high-end 38-foot Catalina sailboat. I'm not an expert in sailboats, but he claimed that his boat is $200,000 new right now. And he sold it for $70,000. So he lived in a sailboat for I don't know how many years, I forgot exactly, but for a while. Docked outside of St. Pete. And he got a great deal for $250 docking that thing in front of a hotel. He knew a guy that ran a hotel, and he decided that he wanted to stop living the sailboat life. I guess he physically couldn't do it anymore because of his knees and his health. Just not being able to do that lifestyle was more involved for him physically. So he decided to sell his 38-foot Catalina sailboat, and decided he wanted to start living the van life 3 years ago. And he bought this Class B camper van. And he had a lot of experience with finished carpentry, because he was also, I believe, in the yacht business, I believe. Boating, and he had a boat himself. And he's very crafty when it comes to electrical, because he is an electrical engineer. So he understands that aspect of the industry of RV life, Class B camper vans, and his finished carpentry skills were pretty nice from what I saw. Just an overall great human being in person. I had a great conversation with him, just learning about him and his life. And I wish I could stay in contact with this guy, but I don't think he wanted to do that. He was a friendly guy, but I don't think he was looking to have a long-term friend. I asked him if he had Facebook. He said no, and after that, we just kind of ended the conversation, and I wished him a good day. It was a pleasure talking to this man, and I admire what he's did in his life. I admire his skills, his knowledge, his wisdom, his experiences as a man, as a husband, as an engineer, and as a person who lived on a sailboat, and as a person right now living the van life. And it was beautiful to hear his story. I was geared today to go over the border and spend some time with some beautiful women, but I met this guy and I just thought, how often do you meet a guy like this? It was very interesting. I wished him a good day. And it was a pleasure talking to this guy, and I just thought I'd come on here and share the story with you guys. That there's people that do this life from all aspects, from all walks of life. And I'm not degrading or demeaning anybody, but, you know, a lot of nomads in Prescott, Arizona told me, he says, out here out west, anybody who lives in a vehicle, we call them a rubber tramp. I don't know if Bob Wells got that term, rubber tramp rendezvous, from rubber tramp, but there's people that can only afford to, in this life, you know, live in a car or a minivan or Astro van, maybe an older camper van like mine. Or there's people all the way up like this guy who made the money in life and was successful and is able to buy pretty much almost anything they want. And it is what it is. And I just wanted to share it with you guys, this story. It was a cool story. And he was a cool guy, and God bless the guy for what he's doing. And I hope he has many more years of great life left. He deserves it. He worked hard for it. He deserves the fruits of his labor. You know. If he wants to spend $100,000 on a camper van, if he can afford it and that's what he likes, go for it. At the end of the day, he got a good deal for what it was. Because the way things are these days, it's crazy what things are going for, you know. But I just thought I'd share the story with you guys. Hope you guys like it. I'll probably never see this man again. You know, he'd been here a couple of weeks, but he was a nice guy. I wanted to show him my van, but I didn't really think he was that interested in seeing the inside of it. But we had a good conversation, and I enjoyed it immensely. And I just, God bless this guy, and like I said, I wish he has many more years left and he enjoys his life and enjoys the fruits of his labor. God bless him. It's a blessing to even be 83 years old, and to, you know, when you get that old in life, people live long these days, but you know, you don't know how long you got left, and you just enjoy every day of life. And it's a blessing. There's some people that don't even make it to 83, or if they are 83, you know, they're in a nursing home, or they're not in good shape, or something's going on. But God bless the guy, and that's how life is. You know, that's how life is. But I just thought I'd share this beautiful story with you guys about this guy that I met, and God bless him, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. This completely got my mind off of Mexico and what I had didn't really have anything planned today, but I was going to go over the border, but I went over the border Friday, and I had a lot of fun, and I was kind of wiped out from that, so I'm recovering. So this been a good couple days just to lay low and just be in relaxation mode. Believe it or not, the weather here is 90 degrees every day pretty much, or 85 to 90, but it's very, very comfortable in the nighttime. You can sleep easily without air conditioning. And believe it or not, you would think that El Paso is really hot, being south as it is, but a lot of people don't realize it's 3,800 feet elevation here. So it's a lot cooler than the floor of the desert in hellish Yuma, Arizona. Now, I don't know what it's like in Yuma right now, but when I was there last year in the summertime, it was very, very hot. Very, very hot. But again, that was the monsoon season when I went. It was June, July, August. And it was a whole different animal. But believe it or not, even right now, going into May, the nighttime temperatures here are very enjoyable. So that's my story. If you guys enjoyed it, give me a 69. If anybody's watching or listening, I know a lot of people watch and listen to this later, but I just thought I'd share it. People are still uploading my videos on YouTube, and the hate and criticisms continue. I want to address a couple things of people just giving misinformation. First and foremost, a lot of people down talk, say a lot of bad things about the Lisa Marie. In reality, folks, let me just say this. Loud and clear, thanks. Let's see who's watching here. Joe Kalanji, David Freeman, Bags and Rags. You got 3 watching and 1 ghost. So anyways, guys, I want to address, now that I've talked a little about 2020 and I told my story, I want to end this program here today, this diary. We're going to call it a diary from now on, because I'm not here for money, and this isn't a business, and I'm not really here for social networking, you know. I'm just here just to give a diary of my thoughts on life. And I'm going to end this here by talking about a couple things I want to address. Obviously, you guys know that the trolls take my videos and they re-upload them on Facebook just for the purpose of not making money, but just, or not wanting to keep them relevant on YouTube, but just to have a place to get together and write nasty comments. Because that's what they get a kick out of, just hating on me or hating on anybody else in life. Instead of doing something productive in life, like go feed the homeless, or donate to a wounded warrior, or, you know, donate to St. Jude's, or do anything productive in society, go and donate their time or resources to a nursing home. With, you know, there's something you could do in life, right? Or go to Anti-Cruelty Society and donate your time there. They don't do that. Most of them don't have jobs. They don't have lives. They just have hate in their hearts. And with their time, instead of being productive and good people and doing good things, they like to do bad things and say bad things. And remember, whatever karma you put out in life is going to come right back at you. I pray for those people in Jesus' name. But anyways, there are a couple things that I want to address to those people that continue the misinformation, lies, and hate about me. First and foremost, my van, the Lisa Marie, is paid off. Bought the Lisa Marie in June of 2014 for $7,300 cash. Cash. On my own money. Yes, I did have a van before the Lisa Marie. If anybody knows my history, I had a 1997 Dodge Coach House that I bought, and it wound up in flames at the mechanic shop. The insurance gave me $10,250 for it, and with that money, I ended up buying another van, and I bought the Lisa Marie. And anyways, the Lisa Marie was paid for off in cash in June of 2014. Never had a loan on it, never all that baloney. And all I can tell all of you is my vehicle and my home, which is a 2-in-1 when you have a Class B camper van, were both paid off in June of 2014. And all those people who hate and say a lot of hateful things about me on YouTube, how many of you can say that your vehicle and your home were both paid off in June of 2014? Not many of you, because many of you are paying rent, or your vehicle's not paid off, or you're paying a mortgage and your house isn't paid off. On top of that, you got property taxes. So that's one reality. Reality number two is a lot of you say that I dread working a security officer job or going back to work in security. A lot of you don't know this, but before I became a YouTube celebrity in 2015, I worked in the security industry from the year of 2000 all the way till about 2014. And then I went back into security just recently from 2020 all the way through 2022. So I have almost 20 years of experience in the security industry. And working in the security industry provided my bread and butter. And it helped me pay for my van off in cash, my first van, and helped me pay for a lot of other cars in cash. And one thing I learned about life is better to just pay things in cash. My dad was a wholesale car dealer, and I learned a lot from him, a lot of things from my dad, and one of the greatest things I learned from him is just pay things off in cash, and especially vehicles. And I've never really had a car on payments. I've always paid everything in cash and in full, and that's the way to live life, and that's the way to be. It's a good thing if you do that. And people can talk all the smack they want, but working as a security officer helped me pay many cars off in cash and full. I've owned many vehicles before I owned Lisa Marie, my first camper van. And getting into security in my life, I never knew I was going to be a security officer. It's kind of a funny thing. When I was in high school, Bryan, Arkansas, in the year of 2000, I took extra classes to get out of high school in January of 2000. And I graduated a semester. And I was eager to get out of the state of Arkansas and go to Chicago. And I kind of gave my dad an ultimatum, which wasn't a fair thing that I did. His business and his life, and he was happy in Arkansas doing what he was doing, because that's what he did, was a car business, and he had his connections and his ways in Arkansas, and I don't want to stay there. I have to go a different direction in my life, and I decided I want to go to Chicago. And I told my dad, I'm like, listen, Dad, I love you and everything, but I can't live here anymore. I'm just not happy here. And I ended up moving to Chicago. And I never worked before as security. I had worked fast food, I worked telemarketing, I worked at Walmart. I was a young kid, 18 years old. And I was miserable at this job at Kmart with my sister, as an 18-year-old kid, pushing carts, being talked down to by a really mean black woman manager. It was terrible. And I thought to myself, I've got to do something to get out of this. I'm just not happy with this job, pushing carts, working as a cashier at Kmart. It was terrible. I was miserable. I thought to myself, what could I do? I didn't know what to do, to be honest with you. And something hit in my head, and I thought, well, now that I'm 18 years old, life has opened up for me. I can do other things that I couldn't do before when I wasn't 18. And I realized one of the jobs that I could get or do now that I'm 18, that I'm not a teenager anymore. I don't know how I found this out or what came in my head, but I thought to myself, wow, I could be a security officer. And I went into security and learned a lot of things the hard way. Had a lot of bad times in the business early on because I wasn't experienced and I didn't really know what I was doing. I was just getting into it. And more I got experience doing it and learning more about the industry. And I started getting better and better at it, smarter and smarter with it. There are some tough times and there are some good times, just like anything else in life. And golly, put bread and butter on the table, golly. And I decided for years and years to stick with it because I was getting better at it and I was getting more experience at it, and I just wanted to stick with something I knew. And I don't think it was a bad thing. Because when you stick to something and you get better and better at it, you learn more and more about it, your confidence level goes up. One of the greatest things about life and maturity and wisdom is your confidence level. And when you stick with something and you put in the time, your confidence level goes up. And confidence is one of the most important things in life. And the more and more I learned about the business, the more and more I got experience, the more and more my confidence level went up with the security business. And back in my early 20s, I even thought about trying out to be a police officer. I applied Lincolnwood Police, but it was a very difficult written test. And I couldn't pass that test. It was very difficult. And not that I was dying to become a cop or nothing like that, but I'm already in this field. I'm young. I'm healthy. At that time, I think I was in decent shape. I probably could have passed the physical. And I was hungry and young. And not that I was dying to become a cop or nothing, but I'm like, I'll give it a shot. And written test was pretty difficult. A lot of things to remember. And even though I would have probably passed a physical hurdle, after I took that test and I realized this is just, I don't like this written test is a bad thing. I didn't like that. And that turned me off to the whole idea. I think looking back at retrospect, golly, I mean, I was my lot of life, thought to myself, man, if I wanted to be a police officer, I think I could have eventually made it. But I realized in life that it's not really what I wanted to do. And I was just happy being in security. I never worked armed security, not because I couldn't, I just didn't feel that it was necessary. Because a lot of people don't realize that armed security doesn't pay that much more than unarmed security. And there's a lot of responsibility. And there's not many jobs that are armed security compared to unarmed. And there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of liability. And in reality, it's really not worth it. Unless you're going to be an armored truck driver, or unless, even that's very dangerous, or unless you're at an account, or it's like a federal account. Any job where you're armed is highly dangerous, and some people take the risk, and I just don't feel that risk is necessary. There's a lot more jobs and opportunities that pay as much or more than armed. But there's always a need for armed as there is for unarmed. It's just my choice. But it's just my choice that I just don't think that armed security is for me. If I wanted to do that, I could do that, but I just don't think it's worth. The reward is not worth the risk. Let's put it that way. And it's kind of sad to see a lot of armed security officers being paid very, very low wages for what they do. So, believe it or not, after doing my research on law enforcement and security, I realized that I believe in the United States, even before police, security officers that were armed and unarmed existed before police agencies, from my research. This went back a long time. You know, so so I'm not against guns. I'm all for the Second Amendment. I don't own a weapon myself. I've never owned a weapon. It's not weapons that kill people. It's people that kill people, you know. That's the reality. But anyways, I got into security. Didn't know I was going to do that. Got into it, trial and error, and in the beginning, I had a hard time with learning the industry, learning people. There was a lot of bad times in the beginning, but then I started getting better and better at it. And what I learned about the industry, there's a lot more trolls and bad people in there than good in the security business. There's a lot of negative people in there. A lot of psychic vampire people. A lot of people that are unhappy, unfortunately. A lot of people that are in there that are just not happy doing it, but they're just doing it because it's a job. And unfortunately, that's the case with the industry. You used to have a lot of people that were good people, retired military, older people doing it, and now you have a lot of young people that are in the business, and the business has changed over the years. A lot of the old timers are out of the business. In a way, it's nice to have a breath of fresh air and young people in the business and a positive attitude. But the business has changed over the years. People that are working in the security business now are a lot younger. Yeah, weather's nice, brother. Weather's nice. No humidity. Sleep in the nighttime with no problems. Nice breeze. Till about 10 o'clock, 10:30, 11, it starts to get pretty warm, and it's hard to find shade, so you got to kind of wake up. So from about the sun goes down about 8 o'clock till, about 10 in the morning is pretty good. It's a good window. But anyways, guys, the security business has changed over the years. There's a lot of new young people. How's the gas prices going, up or down? Yeah, they went up a little bit. Here. I think they went up a tad bit. But all in all, like I said, guys, the security business has changed over the years. New, younger crowd, much younger crowd now. Now you used to see a lot of people that were middle-aged in security and older people, and now the majority are very young people. And as me, being a middle-aged person now and being in the business almost 20 years, all these people I see as rookies and newcomers, newbies, and they're a breath of fresh air and they're good to look at, but they don't have the experience. They're not polished. And that's what's missing in security these days. And when you have somebody like me who's a experienced non-manager, and you have a person that's younger than you, that they recruit, that's your boss, sometimes things don't mix well. Because in reality, not that I want to be a manager in the business, but I've got so much experience that that I've got more experience really in this business than people that are site supervisors, people that are operations and client managers and branch managers and offices. When you've been in the business as long as I have, you have an advantage mentally, experience-wise, over a lot of these people. And in this day and age, you thinking about working down there at all, or planning on coming back to Chicago? Well, I'm still a little bit on the fence. I don't know if I'm going to come to Chicago or San Diego, but I'm really not motivated to come to Chicago, to be honest with you. But I've been really prolonging and procrastinating way too long. But nowadays, in security business, basically, the industry's changed. All the guys that were retired in the Vietnam War, all those guys are pretty much on their way out of the business. There's only a few left. All those guys are good guys for the most part, man. The guys that served in the Gulf War, those are all that generation of good guys. Also the guys that served in the Iraq War. Not that I was for the Iraq War. Those are all good guys. And now, the guys that did this Afghanistan war in Iraq, they came into the business, and that generation is kind of waning off. Now you have a lot of guys in the business that are non-military, or if they are, they really weren't in a war, nothing like that, and they're more of the new age. And a lot of those guys are being recruited into Department of Defense accounts and military contracts, and people who are college educated are being recruited to run the offices, which they don't have the experience, but they have the education. So the business has changed from the old school law enforcement, military, war veterans, to the new age, the new millennials, millennial generation of being tech savvy, looking pretty in a suit, pretty women recruiters that don't know nothing about the business, and it's all turned into just a bunch of paper pushers with college degrees that don't know nothing about the business. Where back in the old days, you had a lot of people that that had the experience in law enforcement and military and the security business itself. And they really knew how to run a security company. And nowadays, it's completely changed. The business, the people that are in the business, has completely changed over the years. It's cold up north. Don't blame me for staying out there. Yeah, I can't believe it's always still cold up there. Aren't you in Michigan? I forgot where you're at, man. I always forget where you're at. But like I said, the business, and just like many other businesses, have changed. Before, when you had managers or ex-law enforcement, military, Vietnam War veterans, security industry professional, experienced guys like me, the companies and the characters, there's a lot of charisma, a lot of knowledge, a lot of experience. And now, it's all about the new age. It's all about hiring minorities and women, gay, lesbian, transsexual, looking pretty in a uniform and fitting a certain persona. It's not more now what you know or how experienced you are. It's more of how you look or if you fit into that environment. And that's how the industry has changed overall. Like, if I wouldn't work out working at a Walgreens on the south side of Chicago with African Americans. They wouldn't accept me as a security guard. Not that I'm not experienced or can't do the job. I don't fit the physical or mental persona for that. Or even here in El Paso, I'm not bilingual and I'm not Latino. I wouldn't fit the persona in a lot of places. So a guy like me, who's polished Middle Eastern guy from Chicago, I only fit in probably a corporate environment. Yeah, I've been over the border the other day, man, yeah. But anyways, security industry is something I know a lot about. The industry is changing. A lot of pretty paper pusher women, a lot of pretty recruiters. Latinas, blacks, minority hiring. A lot of young people that are getting into the business that unfortunately, they hire anybody basically right now. They don't care about experience. They don't care about professionalism. And the industry has suffered from that. Not that all these young people are bad. There's some decent people in the business, but, it's all about experience, And some of the young people are good, and some of them are just, they don't keep up the professionalism, But overall, the young person getting into the business, you meet somebody like me, you learn a lot. I like the business, and that's how I made my bread and butter in life, and I'm going to stick to it, because that's all I've did in my life. And I could go into other things. I could go into car sales or RV sales. I could work at a restaurant. I could do a lot of things, but I just choose security because that's something that I know and that I have confidence in, and it's nice to be able to just stick to something that you know and that you like, and that's a decent living. I don't dread working security. If I didn't want to work security, I wouldn't have worked it all these years, and I wouldn't continue working it. It's paid for my life. It's bought me a lot of vehicles. It's bought me a lot of good times, and it's a decent living for anybody to work. And each state has a security officer license, armed, unarmed. Once you get the license, you can work anywhere in the state for any agency, and it opens up a lot of opportunities and jobs for people. And depending on where you're at, security job might pay pretty good money. A lot of people that say a lot of bad things about security or me not wanting to work security, again, they don't have the credentials. They don't know anything about security. They never worked as a security officer, never been licensed, never worked anywhere, don't know anything about the business. But they just want to hate and badmouth to badmouth, just like they do about a lot of things. The other thing that they badmouth me is they always badmouth my health, or they badmouth the Lisa Marie. Again, a lot of people don't know a lot about my van or vehicles in general. A lot of people that say a lot of bad things about my van. Most of these people, for the majority of the part, they're not ASC certified mechanics. They're not engine mechanics. They're not transmission mechanics. They're not electrical mechanics. Hell, they don't even know how to do an oil change or change brakes. And they don't realize that the 1989 Ford Econoline van, which was made from 1975 to 1991, was one of the best vans ever built. The Windsor 5.8 liter motor that was made in Windsor, Canada, is one of the best engine motors in a van ever made. They were used in school buses along with the Cleveland motors. They're very good motors, they're made very well, and they're made to last a long time if you maintain them. I wouldn't see why I couldn't get 500,000 miles or 1,000,000 miles on this engine if I maintain it with proper maintenance. And also, from my research and from what I've read, and anybody can read about it, the C6 3-speed transmission with no overdrive is one of the best transmissions ever made in a van. And I haven't had any problems with it, and a lot of people who own vans like mine haven't had any problems with them. You see a lot of people, and the Chevrolets are great engines and transmissions too, but you see a lot of people, if anybody knows anything about van life and vans, a lot of the 5.2 and 5.9 motors in the Dodge vans, they have a lot of electrical and engine problems, and also the transmissions on the Dodges are known to be really bad and go out on people. If anybody knows anything about van life or mechanics or been watching the van life, they know that that's the reality. So anyways, I'm not a mechanic, but I'm just saying the basics. All I'll say is, again, all these people that say all these things have no education. And have no credentials, have no experience in what they're talking about. They just say things that just don't make sense, you know. And if the Lisa Marie was a bad van or not a good van, I wouldn't have owned it since 2014. It has over 100,000 miles on her. I bought her with 38,000 miles. And I've been through mountains. I've been through all kind of climates, hot, cold, warm. And the van has been great for me. When you have things that break down, wear and tear on the van, of course you've got to replace things. I've got a cracked exhaust manifold. It's wear and tear. But the overall guts and frame of the van, the way the van was made, engine-wise, transmission-wise, the quality has been great. It's a great vehicle, and any vehicle will last you a long time if you take care of it. And the bottom line is, folks, a lot of people just want to say bad things about me or my life, my health, my career, my van, just to hate. A lot of people don't know anything about security officer business, the security business. They don't know anything about my health. They don't know anything about my van. They don't know anything about my lifestyle, but they just choose to continue to say hateful things. And all these things that these people say are not backed up by facts, evidence, science, or proof. It's just their opinion. An opinion does not mean it's a fact. Anybody can say anything. I can say, like atheists say, that the flying spaghetti monster is God. Does that mean it's true? I can say that the sky is red. Does that mean it's true? No, obviously not. It just could be an opinion, right? Or a thought, or whatever, an imagination, a hallucination, a hallucination. So it is what it is. I don't. In Assyrian we say "Matilmendiana go nawi or go nawi achreta." That means I can, all things that these people say go. I can put it through one ear, it goes out the other. They don't have any credence in what they say, or credibility, or fact, anything. You know, I mean. So it is what it is. I don't mean to go on a long rant, but it is what it is. Uh, it is what it is. So again, it is what it is with these people. The only thing that comes out of their mouth is hate, vile, evil, distasteful things. They never have anything nice to say. They never have anything good to say. They never have anything positive to say. It's all just being negative and hateful, and that's just not the way to live life. Life isn't perfect. We all have our roller coaster, all have our ups and downs. But we need to look at the bright side. We need to be positive. We need to be productive. We need to be happy. And we need to do things that are good, say things that are good, and be happy. And not hateful. Today I shared with you guys my experience and conversation that I had with this very nice gentleman. And I hope you enjoyed it. I know people are going to twist it and say something nasty, but that's their nature. That's not my nature. I'm going to continue living my life, and I hope all of you do too. I know that the hate and the lies and the very nasty things being said and continue to be said are not going to end. They're going to continue because when you have a nature of a bad person, that's all they want to do is produce hateful things. I don't know what they get out of that, but in life, there's a lot of those people that are not happy in life, and unfortunately, they want to project their negativity upon somebody else. And the only way to do that is to be negative and hateful, and be a psychic vampire. And there's a lot of people like that in life. Unfortunately, that's just the way life is, you know. And you see that all the time. You see that all the time, and the reality is, you just know. I can feel and be intuitive on who's negative and who's positive. You know. Today, I went into an auto parts store and was asking some questions, and the young man that was behind the counter I could tell he really didn't like his job. He wasn't a mean guy, but he had no passion, he had no enthusiasm, he had no happiness. He was just like, I just want to get out of here. That's just not the way to live life. And unfortunately, these young kids out there that are doing these jobs, they might be pretty to look at a uniform because they're young and good looking. That doesn't mean that they take pride in what they do. And unfortunately, a lot of businesses that hire, whether it's security, whether it's auto parts, whether it's retail, they all want to hire somebody that looks pretty in a uniform. When you're young, you're good looking when you're in your 20s. And unfortunately, that's the way the trend is going. And when you're young and when you're in your 20s and you're hormone filled, whether you're an introvert, extrovert, you're just not the right person for the job, because there's a lot of people that are my age that are experienced and not experienced managers in their fields, and they know what they're doing, and they've been in there a long time. And unfortunately, a lot of places are not hiring based upon experience. They're hiring based upon, does this person look pretty in a uniform? Well, if you want to do that, go be a model. Unfortunately, that's the way of the world right now. People are hiring based upon physical looks. People are hiring based upon if you're a good physical fit for that job, as far as looks-wise, race-wise, language-wise. They're not really looking at experience. And unfortunately, that's the way of the world right now. And a lot of these businesses are going to learn the hard way, because people that are my age, we might not be as good looking as we once was, but we sure are polished in what we do. And when you have a person that's experienced and that enjoys what they do, they're just not there for a paycheck. At the end of the day, you're going to get a better experience. And that's what I notice with anything in life. Every time I've had to deal with somebody at an auto parts store and retail, I always have to go up to talking to a manager. Somebody who's more older or experienced or has a pride or passion in their job. And that's just the reality. These young people might look pretty, but they don't fit the bill when it comes to experience and quality of service and taking pride in their job. And I was at that point in my life when I started in the security industry, when I was green and I was hormone filled and I was mad and I was angry. I didn't have the experience. I wasn't polished. I know what it's like being in your 20s. Being in your 20s is a very volatile time in life. Coming out from your teens to your 20s, it was a rough time for me. And going into my 30s got even better. And now getting into the 40s, you really know where you're at in life, and that's just a reality. A lot of these places, I see it over and over again, and when you have a business that does that, like I said, that hires based upon looks. I mean, if you're going to hire somebody based upon looks, you need to get into, the waitress business, the bartender business, being a model, being a stripper, being a massage therapist. But when you come into the service sector, hospitality, like I said, even being a waitress or a server, it is what it is. And when I go to a restaurant, it'd be nice to have an experienced waiter, not necessarily the best looking waiter. I've noticed, I shave my hair now, but when I used to go to the hair salon and get my hair cut, I noticed that an older gentleman would do a much better job than women cutting hair, or young women or young guys. Again, everybody fits their niche in society, Not that everybody needs to start somewhere. I'm not saying that we shouldn't give a chance to young people. We all should have a chance and opportunity. But they need to learn from the older, more experienced people. And that's the bottom line. And, they're going to learn the hard way. Sometimes it's going to be tough love for them to learn. But it is what it is with life, folks. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop on out of here. It is what it is. It is what it is, folks. Good night to all you guys. Hope you enjoyed my verbal diary. And I'm looking forward to all of you watching, all of you enjoying, and those who re-upload my stuff on YouTube. I might peruse through the comments. I don't really read all of them. It's not going to be anything new with what the majority of those haters say. I know the hate and the vileness and the lies and the misinformation are going to continue about the same repetitive things that they talk about and say, where they wish me bad health, they wish breakdowns on my home, my van, the Lisa Marie. They think and say that I'm depressed all the time. Or they say I don't want to work, or I don't want to work security, or I don't want to go and visit my mom, or I don't want to go see my mom. The reality of all those things is this. The reason that I don't want to go back to Chicago is not because I don't want to see my mom. because I've said this before and I'll say it many times, the city of Chicago and Illinois doesn't motivate me anymore, and I'm not happy there. And when you're not motivated and you're not happy, you might go out and work a job just to make a living. Now, I'd be happy to go see my mom, but at the same time, overall, Illinois doesn't motivate me. I need an external motivation to be happier and more motivated in life, and I need to be somewhere where I'm happy. And I never said that I'll never go back to Chicago. I never said that I'll never go see my mom. I just said that I need a new motivation. And El Paso has been a new motivation for me. California and San Diego might be a new motivation for me, or might not. I might not like it. All I'm saying is that we all need motivation in life sometimes to get a kickstart. And don't get two things mixed up as far as the haters and trolls. The reason that I left Chicago in the first place, and that I've been leaving Chicago since 2015 for the winter times, because everybody knows how brutal the winters in the Midwest are. Who wants to be living in a van in the Midwest in the winters? And people always change it and say that I leave Chicago because I don't want to see my mom. Not the fact that the Midwest has brutal winters. And now they say, well, why don't I go back to Chicago? Is because I don't want to see my mom, which is ridiculous. I want to avoid being in Chicago for a protracted amount of time not because I don't want to see my mom, because Chicago doesn't give me a motivation anymore. In other words, I don't like the Midwest, to live in the Midwest. Because the Midwest, back in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s and 2010s, might have been a fun place for girls on the street and partying in clubs, and things weren't as expensive, and now it's a whole different thing. The Midwest has really changed over the years. It's not what it used to be. The quality of the food is not as good. The prices are so high. The winters are colder and brutal, and the summers are very hot and humid. And really, it's boring. There's really nothing to do. It's a very depressing place to live if you think about it, comparing it to El Paso or many, many other places. Is the Midwest a decent place to visit? Absolutely. But to base your life out of there, it's been very unhealthy for me mentally, very unmotivating, and very toxic. And why people don't understand that is beyond me. Knowing that being in a place for a protracted amount of time that you're not happy in is a very, very bad thing. And I don't understand why people don't realize this. And why they always parlay. Have I said good things about Chicago before? Yes. Is it the worst place to live in the world? No. But what I'm saying is, why people try to turn things around and make things up about why the sole reason that Marshall doesn't want to go back to Chicago is not to see his mom. That's a preposterous thing to say. The only reason that I've been going back to Chicago is to be around my mom. And so, and not liking Chicago and not wanting to be in the Midwest has absolutely nothing to do with my mom. It has to do with my distaste for the Midwest and the life there and how depressing it is to live there. And so, people don't understand this or articulate it because most people don't live in the Midwest. They don't know what life is like there. Most people don't know what El Paso is like, or Tijuana, or San Diego, because they haven't been there. People just like to talk, say things, make up things, again, out of nowhere. If anybody knows what I like and what I don't like, and if anybody knows me, put two and two together. Leave my mom out of the equation and start to realize the reality. And anybody with common sense can come to a conclusion that the Midwest and Illinois and Chicago is not a good fit for me. For a lot of different reasons, a lot of different factors. First of all, there's no legal mongering there. Everything is overpriced. The people are stressed out. The weather is brutal and humid in the summertime, cold and brutal in the wintertime. There's nothing to do. As far as my Syrian community, there's no purpose of mixing with them because it's just a waste of time. They have a fresh off the boat mentality that is not even Americanized and just terrible. The food in Michigan that's Middle Eastern is better than Chicago. Really, the only thing that Chicago has, as far as food-wise, is the Italian beef sandwiches, which is created made in Chicago. Nobody's going to beat them for that. It's not the healthiest thing to eat, but overall, the food in Michigan that's Middle Eastern is better than Chicago. The food that's Middle Eastern in Houston and Los Angeles is better than Chicago. There's really not a lot of positive things to say about Chicago. Like I said, the Middle Eastern food is not as good as it used to be. And food in Michigan that's Middle Eastern in Houston and in Los Angeles is better than Chicago. The nightlife in Chicago is terrible. The food is going downhill. The prices are going up. You're living in a place where it's hard to get any social services, even though they say it's a liberal blue state. You're living in a place that's very racist and hateful in some parts of Chicago, not all. And there's just no joy there. And why people, all these years, and I thought about it and recollected, and after living there and going through winters, I thought to myself, and I said to myself many, many times, is it nice to visit Chicago in the summertime and some days or spring or fall? Absolutely. And then I started to realize over the years of being there that it's a decent place to visit, but is it a place that I would want to live full time? And I always knew years ago, when the first time I moved to Houston, Texas in 2003 and experienced how nice it was for the first time in my life to be in a warm place in the wintertime, because even Arkansas wasn't warm when I grew up there. Then I knew long, long ago that Illinois and the Midwest and Chicago wasn't a place that I could just call home for the long term. And that's reality. And a lot of people in the Midwest, it is what it is. And don't anyone else talk in here. How you doing, Tim? Yeah, I'm live. Yeah, I'm still live, brother. Because I just felt like going on a rant. Let's see here. Tim Jones is here. Joe Kalanji still here. David Freeman. And who's this? That won't let me click on that name. Anyways, give me a 69 if I'm still live. But anyways, is Chicago the worst place to live? No, the worst place that I lived was Arkansas. I couldn't stand it. The racist people, the heat and humidity, the hate, the racists from both black and white people there. just a lot of negativity. Beautiful state, scarier weather, and scarier people. Very, very uncomfortable in Arkansas, and I felt very out of place many, many times. Um, in reality, pretty nasty place to live. There's good and bad everywhere. I'm not saying Chicago's the worst. I'm just saying it's not for me. And like I said, I knew it years ago. And it took a while to put two and two together, but I put two and two together. After spending a lot of time in Florida, I realized that Florida wasn't for me. And I'm so happy that Florida's not for me, that I learned about it. I learned that Illinois is not for me. I learned that Arkansas is not for me. And a lot of places. So there's good and bad everywhere you go. The more you travel, the more you realize the differences in places. And you realize you feel the vibes and you see the differences in a lot of places, you know. Yeah, people aren't talking here. They're just ghost watching, man. That's all it is. You know. They're just ghost watching. They're just ghost watching. That's all it is. Ugh. Yeah, what time is it now? It's 2:18 in the morning. Anyways, guys, I've been on here too long, but again, people are going to keep on saying the same thing. Elvis doesn't want to go back to Chicago because he doesn't want to see his mom. That's what they always say when I leave. And when I don't go back, when they want me to go back, they always say, oh, Elvis doesn't want to go back because he doesn't want to see his mom. And then when I leave, they also say Elvis left because he doesn't want to see his mom. And they're all fixated on my mom. Why? I have no idea. What's this fixation about my mom or my sister Janet? They mention my sister Janet a lot. They've seen her on social media. They see my mom on social media, but they're always fixated on my sister Janet or my mom. And they say that they always say that my sister Janet, I'm living with her and she kicked me out. And then they always say the same thing. They always got my mom in their mouth. And when I leave Chicago, they'll say Elvis didn't want to be by his mom. Not that I'm leaving Chicago because it's a brutal winter. Or when I don't go back to Chicago when they want me to, like I'm their child, or they think they run my life. Oh, they say Elvis doesn't want to go back to Chicago because he doesn't want to be around his mom. And they're just so fixated on my mom. Why? I have no idea. You know, not going back to Chicago when they want me to, or leaving Chicago, has absolutely nothing to do with my mom. It has to do with the weather in Chicago. It has to do with the toxicity, negativity of the Midwest and Chicago that I don't like. It has absolutely nothing to do with my mom or family or my sister Janet. But they always are so fixated with my sister Janet and my mom because they've seen these two people on my YouTube and social media for the past years, and they're always just fixated on that. And they don't focus on Chicago. They focus on my sister or my mom, or now especially my mom. And that's what I'm trying to separate and differentiate here. Where if anybody's got two brain cells and can think, I'm talking right now about the city of Chicago, the surrounding suburbs, and Illinois. I'm talking about the pros and the cons, more of the cons, what I don't like about it, so people can understand. So, if people had a couple brain cells and could focus their attention on what I'm saying about the cons and the negativities and the toxicities and the downfalls of being in Chicago, Illinois area, they would understand my message more. But instead, they don't focus on the facts, they don't focus on the geography. They focus on my family. They focus on my sister or my mom, which has absolutely and positively nothing to do with my distaste for Illinois or Chicago or surrounding suburbs. When I mention Arkansas, it has nothing to do with my family. When I mention Florida, it has nothing to do with my family. When I mention El Paso or San Diego, it has nothing to do with my family. And why people mix these things over and over again, I have no idea. Or they might make up and say, Lisa Marie's broke down. She can't go anywhere. Or Elvis is out of gas money, or he's out of money, or Elvis doesn't want to work. All these things are speculations, opinions, non-facts. They're baloney. You know what I'm saying? Don't listen to haters, you know the truth, and that's all that matters. Thank you, Tim. So, it's unbelievable the amount of people that produce hate on YouTube. And they always say things that are not true, that don't make sense, that are not backed up by science, facts, or evidence, and they don't have the education or credentials or experience to back up anything they say. And they always produce lies, hate, disinformation, and misinformation about me, my life, my van, my family, my beliefs, and my life, my past, my present, and my future. And you hear them reiterating this baloney on YouTube over and over again in comments. Let's focus on the matter at hand. Let's not mix up different things. But that's what people do. They always want to give misinformation. Again, when I talk about not liking Illinois or city of Chicago or the surrounding suburbs, I'm talking about what I don't like about the place or the people or the environment or whatever. But they always mix other things in and say, oh, he doesn't want to see his family or mom. His van is broke down. He doesn't have enough money to get there. Which is all not true. But again, they repeat themselves, and they say I'm repetitive. All they do is they repeat themselves, and all the comments and hate over and over and over again. And they say the same thing over and over and over again. And once this video is re-uploaded on YouTube, they're going to say the same thing over and over and over again. And they say it, and what they get out of it, I have no idea. That's what's really mind-blowing, puzzling, that people take the time to record my videos, re-upload them, and repeat themselves profusely and constantly. And they say the same things. You know? Whether it's putting down my health, they can put down my health. They don't have the credentials to do that because they're not a medical doctor. They're not a cardiologist. They're not a dermatologist. They're nothing. They're not a medical doctor. They have no credentials to put down my health. They're not a mechanic. They have no credentials to put down my home, my van, the Lisa Marie. Okay? And they're not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. They can't put down my mental health. They can't put down my spiritual health because they're not a priest or somebody in clergy. They have no credentials or experience to back up anything that they say. Not about my mind, not about calling me depressed, not about my health. Absolutely not. And they have no mechanical knowledge. They're not a mechanic to put down my home, Lisa Marie. They have none of these credentials at all whatsoever. But they talk in the comments with their hate like they have a bachelor's or master's or doctor's degree on all the things that they say. They think they're Dr. Phil. They think they're a psychologist or psychiatrist and they can analyze me. They think that they're a medical doctor, that they can diagnose my health. They think that they're a ASE certified mechanic and they can diagnose all the problems with Lisa Marie. They think they have the answers to everything. They talk like they have a bachelor's or master's or doctorate in what they say. And the vast majority of these people don't have a channel, don't have content, don't have an RV, don't have a boat, don't have a four-wheeler, don't have a life, don't have a face, don't have a picture, don't have nothing. You can't trace back to who they are. But somehow, some way, they think they have the answers to everything about my life. They think they're all-in-one know-it-all, basically. They think that they're my doctor. They think that they're my psychologist. They think that they're my mechanic. They think that they're my therapist. They think that they're my God. And that's the gist and matter and reality of everything. Like I said, my home and my vehicle are both paid off and free and clear since June of 2014. Many of those people that are watching can't afford a vehicle, can't afford an RV. And if they can afford one, they're probably paying payments on it and it isn't paid off. A lot of people that are watching can't afford to buy a home or to pay a mortgage, or their mortgage isn't paid off. Or condo, or whatever. My home and my van are paid off free and clear. If I have a breakdown, God forbid, I've got to fix my van and home. And kudos to anybody that pays off anything in cash. Because that's the way to go. But the Lisa Marie has earned its keep. The Lisa Marie has saved me thousands of dollars and made me thousands of dollars. I've saved almost $100,000 in rent. And I've made a lot of money with Lisa Marie. So I've saved money and I made money. The Lisa Marie has earned its keep tenfold. And continued to earn its keep. So, people can say all they want, but you never walk a mile in my shoes. When you can buy a vehicle and live in it for almost 7 years, and that vehicle makes you money, and that vehicle saves you money, even if you do it for 1 year, the vehicle's earned its keep. I've only got $7,300 what I put into this van when I bought it. Yes, I've done maintenance, but that's maintenance in any vehicle. The bottom line is, when you buy an RV, that'll make you money and save you money if you do it the right way. Anyways, I don't have much more to say. I've been here a long time. It's time for me to get off. I've been here way too long, but it is what it is. We're going to continue getting the re-uploads on YouTube from the trolls. We're going to continue with the hate speech. And that's the repetitive the repetitive baloney that they talk about. And again, like I said, and I'll say this again, none of them have the credentials, the knowledge, the experience, the degree, anything to nothing that they say is credible or factual or scientific or facts. And that's the bottom line. And have nothing more else to say. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. It's a beautiful night, guys. Good night to all. And I look forward to all of the comments. Keep on saying what you're saying, because it's pretty crazy. Yeah. Marshall left Chicago because he doesn't want to see his mom. Marshall's not going back to Chicago when we want him to, because he doesn't want to see his mom. And it all goes back to my mom. Why people are so fixated on my mom is beyond belief. But a lot of people don't know anything about my mom. My mom gave my dad 6 children. My mom raised a family. My mom raised a lot of my uncles and my aunt. She married my dad and left her family in the 60s. Hasn't seen her family ever since, and they don't even contact her. My mom's never hurt anybody, but always had love in her heart. Been a good person. A kind soul, a mother. Never harmed anyone. A lot of people know nothing about my mom. I never really talked a lot about my mom as much as my dad. And maybe I should make a show on my mom. But it's really unfortunate she's in a nursing home. But myself and my family, we all really don't have the finances. We're all struggling to take on that care. Life is tough. We're all living by a thread and needle. All I can say is my mom is in good hands. And she's a good person. She never hurt anybody. And please, you can say whatever you want about me. I don't care. Just please keep my mom out of your mouth. All of you haters. I don't talk about your moms. Please don't talk about mine. But please wish her blessings and prayers and happiness and joy. That's all I ask. You can say whatever you want about me. But please don't bring my mom into the gist of the conversation. Don't bring her into the gist of the conversation when it comes to regards to my van life or my distaste for Illinois. Please don't mix that in there. I'd appreciate all of you if you could do that for me. I'd vastly appreciate that. But let's focus on the matter at hand, which is not my mom or my sister or my family or the Assyrian people. It's my distaste and dislike for Illinois and Chicago. And I could make a whole show on that. I could write a book on that. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate it, brother. But I can make a whole show on the pros and cons of Illinois and Chicago and dig right down deep into it. You know, not that I'm saying that it's a worse place. I'm just saying that it never was for me. And there's been good times, there's been bad times, but I'm just saying that it is what it is. Um, and a lot of people that comment and say that, like I said, I'm not going back to Chicago because of my mom, or I left Chicago because of my mom. They absolutely know nothing about Chicago. They never lived in Illinois or Chicago. They know nothing about the life. They don't know nothing about it. Absolutely nothing about it. Again, have no knowledge. Have no knowledge. And again, when trolls get fixated on something, they get hooked on it. They get hooked on it and hooked on it and hooked on it, and they never let go. And again, the matter at hand is my criticisms and distaste, not hate, but distaste and unhappiness about Chicago and Illinois. Not my mom or my family or the Assyrian people. It's the bottom line. So, I've said it before many times. I won't say it now because I'm about to wrap up, but people know the reasons why I don't like Chicago. Not that I hate it, why I don't like it. But it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I hope you guys have a good night. I got to get out of here. It's getting nice and cool to go to sleep now. It's already been cool for a long time. But it is what it is, folks. Hope you guys have a good night and stay safe out there in this crazy world. And I wasn't expecting to be on here this long, but I just had to get this out of my system, man. A diary of my life. I don't come on here often, but when I do come on here, I'm going to make it count. And I really don't. It's just a diary of my life. That's all it is. Nothing more, nothing less. Nothing more, nothing less. And whenever I have something positive or good to share, I'll be on here to share it. I'm not here to go tit and tat with the trolls. But if people do present lies and misinformation about me, I'm going to address that. I have the right to address that and correct that and address that and defend myself. And that's the bottom line. I don't usually acknowledge all that, but I decided this time to take that opportunity and address a lot of the baloney. Anyways, guys, I'm going to go ahead and pop on out of here. It's been a long night. Hope you guys all have a good night. And I'm not going to rehash or reiterate or acknowledge any of the other baloney that people say about me, because it's just the same repetitive stuff all the time. Like I said, it's just the same repetitive stuff all the time that they say, and you hear it over and over and over again, and it's repetitive, and it gets old. They never come up with something new. When one of my favorite comedians is George Carlin, and I love listening to his stuff. He was creative and funny. He wasn't hateful. He was funny. And over the years, being on YouTube, there's been a lot of people that were funny and creative, not necessarily hateful, even though I think Vlogger Puppets is a pretty overall hateful guy. There's been some funny stuff that he's done. Anthony Norbecker, Mike Mundane, Boy Parody, Signature Mister. And I think with all the social media over the years, there's been a lot of funny, creative, entertaining channels that make parodies about me or other people, our viewers, that I've enjoyed over the years. Being funny and being creative and being charismatic is a joy and entertaining. But you also have those people that cross that fine line, and they're not entertaining, they're not charismatic, they're not funny, they're not creative, they're downright hateful. And there's a lot of people that fall into that category, and those people are the trolls. Because they attack your family profusely, they attack your health, they wish you bad health, they wish you breakdowns on your home, your rig. They're very nasty, they're very racist. They say a lot of nasty things. They do a lot of nasty things. And there's nothing entertaining, funny, or humorous about them, or creative. It's just downright hate. And all I can say to those people, I pray for you in Jesus' name. I forgive you for your sins, because Jesus says that in the Bible. And that's all I can do. That's all I can do. It's a sad thing, but there's a lot of people that fall into that category, unfortunately, of hate. Sad thing, but it's just a reality. But I'm not going to stop my life or living my life when I want to feel that I want to come on social media and talk about a diary of my life or put out myself or have a platform or have a say. I'm not going to let those people stop me or intimidate me or bully me. Because at the end of the day, all those haters, they don't pay my bills, they don't pay my way, they don't pay my life, they can't dictate what I do or what I say. They have no power or authority over me. And I'll quote the Bible and say, all those haters, I do forgive you for your sins, things that you've done and said against me in Jesus' name. And I pray for you. But I also do say, like the Bible says, I rebuke you in Jesus' name. You have no power and authority over me. Get out of my aura. Get out of my life. Stay out of my way. In Jesus' name. With that being said, amen. Good night to all of you from an undisclosed location.